First thing I got is Suicide Squad got delayed. You know what's funny? I'm using a newer browser and I don't know how to zoom in on it. I wish I did, believe me. Maybe if it's like
It's Control Plus on Chrome for
oh
the
damn.
hotkey.
Look at Spoon here teaching me how to use browsers. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Suicide Squad got delayed to next year. When was it coming out before? I think it was coming out.
It was supposed to be May. It was supposed to be next
May.
month in May. So it gets delayed 9 months.
I think here's what I think the delay is going to actually fix. I think they're going to turn off the always online.
They're definitely going to turn off always online.
I think they're going to reconsider the battle pass. And that's it. I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to turn off the always online, probably adjust so they'll adjust how co-op works and how the game works solo. And then I think they're going to reconsider the battle pass. Here's what's not going to change. How the characters play. That's not going to change. I don't think enough people were upset about that or expressed feedback on that. But that to me was the biggest problem.
Yeah,
so
the focus on the gunplay as opposed to anything else.
Yeah, I mean I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I already talked about it for way too long. But I think they're going to fix the always online and the battle pass.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to fix. So 9 months delay is massive though. That is a huge delay.
Yeah, that is a really big delay for if they're only. I mean, I'm sure they'll do stuff other than they'll do quality of life stuff and make the game better generally. But yeah, I kind of agree. It seems like I mean, maybe it was they didn't want to delay it that long, but they didn't find a good release date this year where didn't want to compete with certain other things. Who knows? But it is what it is.
Yeah. I think when you look at the game though, it looks fun, but
yeah, I was actually when I watched that their presentation whenever that was a couple of months ago, I was one of the people. I didn't really talk about it too much. I was kind of positive on it. I'm like, yeah, this looks pretty fun. I'm not sure I would play this, but like I'm like, it looks pretty fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it looks all right.
If you don't really think too hard about it, it did look fun. So I can't it did look fun. The problem is I just thought a little bit too hard on it, and I'm like,
yeah,
Big Shark with gun doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, delay till next February. That's a really big delay. That was the only thing I was going to mention on that. So okay,
Yep, I agree. There's not much else to say. It just got delayed a long time, which is, a 9-month delay is quite substantial, and I agree with you on what they'll fix. We'll see what else they're going to change in 9 months, but
yeah, I'd be curious.
The two things you mentioned are definitely always online. They will certainly change that. They will allow the game to be played offline in single player mode, or maybe even like couch co-op. We'll see.
Something like that.
Split screen.
I don't know. Something like that. But yeah, I think delay was warranted. This game was not going to sell well, and I think they knew that. This game was not going to sell to their expectations.
Yeah, they had bad PR on it, so maybe that's part of the long delay too. Is they wanna go through another like marketing PR cycle with it and try and hype it up again and show people like, oh look, we're listening, we changed things. You can buy the game now. It's okay. Like
yeah, like I think that's also a part of it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense actually.
Because you want to get all that out. Okay, next. Redfall. Okay, this is specifically them talking about console. Redfall is launching on Xbox consoles with quality mode only. That is 4K 30 FPS for the X. For the S, 1440p by 30 FPS. Actually, it's worth noting that the 4K and 1440p is... I think that's expected for those consoles.
I would assume so.
30 FPS is not. That is hysterical. 60 FPS mode will be added via game update at a later date. So I mentioned this in Discord, and I think nowadays, if you're a bigger developer, indie developers, I'm gonna just kind of put on the side for a second, but if you're trying to make an FPS game of any type and 30 FPS is the maximum, you did something wrong. you prioritized incorrectly. The 30 FPS is not like, I know there are people that are like 30 FPS is okay as long as the game is great and blah blah blah. It's really not. Like you can't just give them an excuse and out. Don't give them an out. 60 FPS should be pretty standard for an FPS.
It should. It depends on the. I think it depends on the genre. If you're playing like a turn-based strategy game or something and you're locked at 30, who fucking cares?
That doesn't matter, of course.
FPS, I agree. When you're dealing with, reaction times, precise movements, twitch shooting and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I want higher. Yeah. I want higher frame rate. Counter-Strike and stuff. Obviously, that's an old game, but people are running that game at like 200-300 FPS or something, right? The high level people like Counter-Strike.
If you're not running it at like, I don't know what people run it after like games like Overwatch and stuff, but like I'll see like 120. I'll see 120, and it's like 120 normal. Like you got it, and that's what you got to do because you're trying to. It's precision. It's all about precision. It's all about precision. So I don't know how much precision's in this game, but it's a first-person shooter, so there's got to be precision involved.
Yeah, 30 FPS. It's not multiplayer, so probably not quite as much, but. Multiplayer as in PvP, like there's co-op, but it's all PvE. So
my other frustration is this is a first party title for Bethesda into Xbox, Microsoft.
Yeah,
your first party titles are supposed to be your best effort, frankly speaking. Sony knows this,
and they haven't had one in a while.
No, they haven't. They have not shown their best foot forward, frankly, since. Well, Halo Infinite on release, while it was a bit of a clusterfuck for the UI and all that, that was pretty close. That was pretty close to what I would expect for like the campaign. Like the first experience of that was pretty close. We're not talking about everything else regarding the seasons and the clusterfuck of a multiplayer like matchmaking system. But like as far as the quality of that game, just like how it looked and felt. That was about what I expected for a first-party game, Halo in particular.
You could tell what they polished in that game and what they did.
Correct.
Like, there were a bunch of things in that game that were unpolished, undercooked, and just...
Correct. There were.
But yes, the front-facing stuff, the gameplay in general, the campaign, that stuff, it ran smooth, it felt good to play,
right,
etc.
So that's your best foot forward. And if it's especially first-party titles... particularly the big ones, AAA level ones, even like your smaller scale ones, they should be your best foot forward. You're like, this is why you need an Xbox. Having your flagship system, your brand new shiny system, this is still a new system to some extent, putting out games at 30 FPS and being like, we'll add 60 FPS later, don't you worry. You didn't even say later date. What's later date? I would have been more okay if they're like, we'll release this in 2 weeks after release.
Yeah, if it was like within a couple of weeks to maybe a month tops after release, I think that's acceptable.
Like,
but
all right, fine.
I'm not going to tell you it's good, but it's acceptable.
Yeah.
But then, as you mentioned, you go over and look at Sony, every one of their first-party releases, God of War, Last of Us, Horizon, Spider-Man, it comes out, it looks great, it feels great, and they have, like, God of War, from what I heard, it has a ton of accessibility features, right, and it has 3 modes. It has, like, quality mode, which is like this, it's 30 FPS, but it looks the best. Performance mode, which is 60 FPS, and it doesn't look quite as good. And then they had, like, a middle ground mode that was, like, 45 FPS or something like that.
Yeah.
So
there's a priority in place where they're telling their first-party studios, okay, guys, here's the things you gotta get. You gotta hit these things for sure as far as specs are concerned. It's gotta be 60 FPS at minimum. If it's not 60 FPS at minimum, you gotta do that. You gotta get that out there. I think that having 30 FPS on Redfall is a huge mistake. I mentioned in Discord, and I'm pretty serious about it. That's a deal breaker for me. Like it's just, and it's not even because the game is probably still going to be really, the game's probably still going to be really fun and whatever. Like, why would I play this at 30 FPS on release, knowing it's an FPS, being like, okay, you're gonna add it at a later date. Why wouldn't I just play it at a later date? Like, what? I'm just gonna wait till 60 FPS comes out.
Yeah.
Where the game actually
it's like you're not gonna take it off Game Pass. It's gonna be
there.
there.
Yeah, you're not gonna take it off. Why would I play this then? I'm not gonna play this till you release 60 FPS. That's what you're telling me. And when you say at a later date, that's like that's company speak for. There's like two ways you look at that. That's company speak where they literally don't know. They actually don't know. They completely don't know when it's going to be ready, and that's a huge red flag for you. If you hear at a later date, that should immediately set a red flag going, they have no idea when it's going to get in.
Like, it's in the pipeline, but they haven't really started.
They have no idea.
Yet.
Like, either it hasn't been started, or they think it's going to take a while. Both of those don't sound great to me. That's like that's company speak coming from somebody who actually we've done that before. When we get on calls, we're like, should we say a date for this feature getting released? We're not sure yet. Just say to do. And don't put a date on it. Just say like late April, late May. You say like either a really generic date or at a later date, but usually we go with generics. We're like end of May. Just say end of May. Don't put a date on it. Put end of May. So like, yeah, when you say at a later date, they don't fucking know. And that's a red flag. I think it's going to actually take them more than a month to get it out. That to me sounds like more than a month.
I think it'll be 2-3 months or something like that.
That's huge, like, company bullshit speak. Like, we have no fucking clue. We're just like, we don't know.
Yeah, unfortunately, like, I don't know. The concept of the game, like, looks cool. The gameplay, with the exception of IGN, you know, I don't know if you saw these videos release this.
I don't want to talk about IGN. I don't want to talk about them. They pissed me off.
They released this terrible gameplay video of this game. It just made the game look terrible. But
you can bet your ass Bethesda got on the phone and Microsoft. I bet. Here's what happened. Phil Spencer watched the video and he went like this. This is exactly what he did. I can do the roleplay for it. Yeah, what the fuck was that? That's what he did. He probably did that. He probably said, "Hey guys, like next time you do it again, send it to us so we can approve it." You can bet he did that. Somebody there in Microsoft did that. They're like, "That was horrible. You're supposed to be showing off our game in the best light. Next time we need to approve it. And if we don't approve it, you do it again."
Hey, IGN, what you doing over there?
You're screwing to a 10-year-old.
You're screwing us. What are you doing?
It's like the person that was supposed to do it got sick, gave it to their like 10-year-old, and said, "Hey, I can't do this, kid. Can you?" I'm like, I'm in the bed, like sick. You gotta do it.
One of the first comments on that video was like, "When you hand the controller to your little brother."
Yeah.
Like, okay.
That's what it looked like, because I was like so confused watching the whole thing. A horrendous aim, which, you know what, I'm not going to go down that route, but horrendous aim. But just like, what were they doing? I actually didn't know what they were doing. Like, you've got this monster. They're like trying to use this ability. I don't think they knew what the ability did. I don't even know if they knew what the ability did.
There were multiple times where they threw the teleporter and they didn't use it.
And they didn't use it.
Or they threw it like 2 feet in front of them. It's like, all right, great, you're going to teleport 2 feet over there.
I'm like, did you read the abilities? Like, you should read them. Like when I don't read them, it doesn't matter because I'm just like a random player. You're IGN. You're reviewing, like, your whole thing is supposed to be reviewing video games. You need to be the ones that are actually taking the time to read these things.
Yeah, and it's their IGN first, which is like, you know, their monthly, we get exclusive access to a new game and we're going to show you the gameplay and how the game is, and it was just a god, that was an awful gameplay video.
If I'm Phil, the first thing I'm doing is going, okay, next time you do a video on one of our first party games, you bring it to me, I approve it, and if I don't approve it, you do it again. And if you don't do that, I don't send you any more things.
Yeah.
That's what that's what you're doing.
You're not getting IGN first on Starfield, that's for sure. And I can make that game look like dog shit too.
You can bet that was probably in an email. He probably was like, "Hey, like, we're not going to give you first on Starfield if you're just going to do this." Like, that was bad. It's a bad look for IGN. Obviously, it's a bad look for the game.
Yeah,
it's just like, okay, well, I got no perspective on this game from this video, IGN. But like, what? So where's that like meme on Twitter with the guy slowly turning into a clown? That's as the video was playing and I was watching it, I just felt like the guy playing it was putting on his red nose, you know, clown hair,
the rainbow afro,
putting the makeup on. I'm just like, dude, like you actually put this out and we're like, yeah, this is good. It's like, man, that was not IGN. That was, how did that get through anybody?
Yeah, I agree. I was like, man, like who at IGN reviewed that, like looked over this video and said, yeah, that looks good. Let's send that out. Let's show the gamers that.
It wasn't like it was a long video. Like it wouldn't have taken long.
It was like 6 minutes.
It was like a 6-minute video. Yeah, it was like you really.
Maybe it wasn't even that. Maybe it was like 3 or 4 minutes. I don't remember. It wasn't that long.
Yeah. What a clown video. That was a clown video.
And then there were also a bunch of just like random cuts in the middle of the video. It's like, what is that?
Because
like,
because it's just not. They just did not play the game well. You get like, okay, again, I'm a regular player. If I don't read the abilities the first time and like I gloss over it a bit, it's whatever. Honestly, when IGN does that, it's not okay. You have to do that. Your job is to do that.
Well, like, yeah, like part of the IGN first thing is like they're supposed to be giving you like organic gameplay of like, and yeah, somebody out there might play like that, but it's also marketing. Like it's terrible marketing, A, for your site, and B, for the game to release a video that makes you look like a 10-year-old playing the game. Like you just look terrible.
Yeah, that's what I don't get either. It's like, I get it, it's supposed to be organic, but you can bet somebody's script like told them, here's what you're gonna do in this script. You're gonna fight this boss. We want you to use this, this character, and just show off the abilities of the character while you're playing in the co-op with people. Show how you res somebody. Somebody goes down, make sure you're the one resing them so you can show that off. Like, I get it's supposed to be organic, but at the same time, you're also supposed to have some kind of like, give them some kind of script or cues of like, okay, if this happens, show this off, show the abilities off. Don't just like not use them. If somebody goes down, you should go res them or show somebody resing them. And
it's not like they were showing the beginning of the game, like you're level 1 and like you're just starting playing the game and you're getting the hang of it. Like they were, they had all the abilities, they had some guns. They, I'm gonna guess this is somewhere probably still in the early game somewhere, but like you're at least a few hours into the game, you maybe got the hang of it a little bit. It's like they had someone play up to that point and then just handed somebody else who was completely new and had never played the game before, just handed them the controller and said, hey, we're gonna record you playing, have fun.
It's just like yeah, I mean, like I said, if I was Microsoft, I'd have gotten on the phone and be like, hey,
speed dial IGN. What the fuck was that?
How you doing? What was that? What was that? Next time, come through me. We approve it. You don't self-approve anymore. Oh my god. So, disaster on two fronts, frankly. 30 FPS, I think it is kind of a disaster for an FPS when it's 30 FPS like this. I consider that because you're supposed to be like, to be in like high precision and reaction mode. Turn-based games, it doesn't matter, but like in FPS, it matters quite a bit.
Yeah.
IGN's video was also a disaster. That was such a disaster.
This game looks cool, and I was gonna play it on PC, so I'm sure PC will have 60 FPS if you have a powerful enough system.
Right.
But yeah, if you and or other people who we might have play with are gonna hold off, then maybe I'll wait as well. I'm not sure.
I think I am. 30 FPS, like for other games, like if Fire Emblem was 30 FPS, who cares? Who cares? Yeah. But this game being 30 FPS to me is like it's totally different territory, and that's where I'm like, imagine playing Overwatch in 30 FPS kind of mentality.
It's an FPS. It's a Microsoft, and it's a first party on your new system. Like, come on.
Yeah. You can't do that.
It's not good.
You can't do
that. This game feels like. It feels like to me with this game that they could have used another, like, this game should come out in the fall, basically. Like, they could have used another 5-6 months on this game, but they're like, well, Starfield's coming out in September, and we
can't do that. You can't put it near Starfield, right?
So we're just gonna have to release it, in the spring,
right?
Even though it feels to me that it's not ready, and this game should release in the fall. But
Right.
Starfield's coming out in it's September, I think. So they're like, yeah, we're just not gonna do that.
I feel like they should have maybe delay this like a month or two. Just tell them, hey, sorry, in order to get 60 FPS, we got to wait another 30 days. Kind of deal.
June's rough though with Diablo, Street Fighter, and Final Fantasy. It's like you really don't want to play with June right now. It's bad. Like,
yeah. It's also bad to have this on your flagship console be 30 FPS. I get the release issues.
Yeah, I mean Zelda's coming 10 days after this, but
I get the release issues, but you're just not. You gotta put your best foot forward.
Yeah, they're really not.
Actually, we'll talk about Zelda. I think Zelda put their best foot forward, actually. But
yeah.
But anyway.
So yeah, we'll see how this game is and how it reviews when it comes out. I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit undercooked, but we'll see.
I think it will be too. Seeing the 30 FPS has me really worried, so that's why I'm going to wait. Unless like a bunch of people I know want to jump in, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Okay. Let's talk about Street Fighter. You invoked Street Fighter. So we have a Street Fighter showcase tweet here, promotion of the Street Fighter showcase. Extended final look at Street Fighter with Street Fighter 6 with 30 minutes of big news and announcements. And then they had this little 30-second video in here. The date for this is April 20th. Hosted by Lil Wayne. Okay. 3 p.m. Pacific time.
Yep.
This is the big fighting game for
yeah.
Well, it's a big game for Capcom, obviously, but in general for the fighting game community, this is a huge announcement. So, gotta have a lot of hype surrounding it.
Yeah.
And that's really soon, next week. So.
Yeah, it's on Thursday, which is I mean, look, we're not really fighting game people. I just threw this in there because it's Street Fighter's a big release.
For the fighting game community, this is one of the big ones. There's like probably some holy, like somebody's probably called it maybe the Holy Trinity or something. Street Fighter's on there. It's like Smash and Street Fighter on there, and there's
Tekken.
And Tekken, and there are definitely more fighting games that are on this pedestal of great fighting games that the community they play, they adore. And this is like Street Fighter, Smash, Tekken. Street Fighter's like the top. It's always like Street Fighter's the headline game at EVO every time. Yeah.
Like it's always Street Fighter's like the last game that they play.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is the reason why you got to build all the hype. You got to build as much hype, all that excitement's got to come together for this big showcase. 30 minutes. It makes sense. It's 30 minutes. You got to show off multiple characters. You got to talk about how the game plays, potential improvements. Obviously, I think you got to spend time talking about the multiplayer, the online play, making sure that everybody feels like playing online isn't going to be an issue like it is for Smash. Like the netcode, we're good. Don't worry about any lag. We're going to try and reduce lag as much as possible. All that you got to talk about that because big component of this is that.
Yep.
So yeah, we're not fighting game people necessarily, but like this is a big fighting game for the community, so makes sense to build all this hype around it.
Yep. Also the same day as the Diablo
the Diablo thing. The Diablo
stream,
there's a live
stream.
Yeah. Yeah, Thursday.
So,
a couple of things happen.
Different time. It's like a few hours afterwards.
But still, like 2 big games here. All right.
Yep.
Quick one. We talked about this during like a Nintendo Direct. This is a series I really like. So, not yesterday, but the day before. I didn't even realize it. I'm sure they talked about it during those Directs, obviously. But this is on Steam. This also released on consoles, the Battle Network Legacy Collection. This is Volume 1. There's a Volume 2, and then there's a full collection, which is $60. The individual collections are $40 each. Both together are $60. So you get that $20 discount. I love these. I'm going to buy this. 100% I'm buying. Probably just the first one for now. I'm not sure if I'll get the second one yet. I haven't decided what I want to do.
Okay. Yeah, for me, like, even if I, I just feel like 40 for 3 games is not a good deal, so I would just buy the $60
Yeah, buy the
package,
$60. So that's what I'm thinking
personally.
about. It's like, okay, should I just get the $60 one because it's got
I
all of them? Like, it makes like $40 for the 3. These are not new games. These are old games.
These are 20-year-old
Yes,
games.
these are 20-year-old games.
You know, they might have taken a while to beat when we were young, but I don't think they're very long either. Like,
no, I realistically think they're like 15 hours, if
maybe.
anything.
Yeah.
I do know there's like some parts of some of those games where it's just like you're just walking around for an
It's
hour.
easy to get. It's
messing
also,
around.
especially in the early games, like they do not tell you where to go.
No,
and
they
it's
don't.
easy to get lost. It's easy.
No,
to
they
get
don't.
Lost.
They don't tell you anything. So they barely tell you anything for sure. They're like, yeah, here's a hint. Go. You're like, where's that? Okay, thanks. Bye. I like this series. I really cherish it, especially the lovable quotes of the game, such as
God, yeah.
Jack into the squirrel's mouth. That was like, what somebody laughed their ass off translating that one.
Apparently, and I think I saw this. I was watching Maximilian Dude's stream yesterday, and he was streaming this a little bit, and he said that there's a message when you boot up the game that said something along the lines of like, Capcom is a diverse company and we embrace diversity. However, be aware that these games are 20 years old and there are some things in them that may offend people.
Yeah, I agree. But it's an old
like they
game.
literally had to put that in as
Yeah.
a warning message when you boot up the game. Like, yeah, there's some offensive shit in these games.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I get it. They gotta do that. Companies gotta do that because, like, shit, man. Like, Disney should be doing that to all their old stuff.
Yeah, they should.
Disney's horrible. Looney Tunes are bad too. Looney Tunes are really bad. Some of those like old cartoons are some of the most racist things you'll ever see. They got to put all those like, hey, this was made 40 years ago. Whoopsies. Yeah. Don't look. Just don't pay too much mind. Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, 20-year-old game. They probably said some things that were at the time. I don't know if accepted is even appropriate, but you know, people didn't go after you for it. Now, you'll get into some trouble if you do those things. So, but I do think I still want to get the whole, you know, the collection, whether it's 1, 2, or all of it. I do love this series. It's very fun. I do appreciate that that it's all the same kind of style and all that. Online play is supported. I actually heard that while watching somebody play this. I was like, okay. Wow.
You can battle other people.
I am sure online is freaking crazy. Something I likely won't touch. I'm sure it's crazy playing online with people. It's probably just nuts. But anyway, just adding this on here. Cool little series. Very fun.
Yeah, companies are realizing how many. I guess it's mostly Nintendo, but you know, the gems of the Game Boy Advance. Like these games are my childhood. Like Battle Network, Fire Emblem, Advance Wars, Golden Sun. Like, yeah, man.
They're figuring out that you can make money on this.
Advance Wars is coming out on Friday. The reboot camp. So
yeah, the reboot camp.
Friday, so
yeah. In this case, like, I think it's just like the company's realizing, like, hey, we can just the console that you played this on before is just completely out of date. Many people don't have access to it. Why don't we just bring this to the newer systems, platforms? You sell the collection for $40. I mean, like, obviously there's some work to get these to work on these systems, but for them it's like, you know, not too difficult to see the money that they can make from stuff like this. So
the one thing I will say about this is, by the way, Capcom is advertising this as 10 games. This is 6 games.
10 games.
3, 4, 5, and 6 all have 2 versions, like Pokemon does.
Right.
And the further you get, the more different they get. So, like, 5 and especially 6 are actually, like, pretty different between the 2 versions. Like, the final boss is actually different, but in 6 between the 2 versions. Mm-hmm. And I think 4 and 5, like, the Navis you meet and the, like, the Link souls that you get are different in the 2 versions. but for the most part, the games are the same. So it's more like Pokemon Red and Blue or
Right.
Pokemon whatever, Scarlet and Violet. So this is 6 games, each which have, or 4 of which have 2 versions, and 1 and
Right.
2 there's only 1 version. 3, 4, 5, and 6 all have 2
Yeah.
versions.
Yeah,
so.
3, 4, 5, 6 all have those different versions. I know they said 10 games. I'm like, okay, like it's not though. It's more like some of those with like the differences, like
3
it's like
there's basically 3 there's basically no difference. I would say that one counts pretty much 0.
Right.
4 there's a little bit. 5 there's a little bit more, and then 6 there's like it's still pretty much the same, but there's a decent difference between in the 6.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll give you combined like 7 to 7.5
yeah,
games.
that's what I would say.
But like it's 6. It's 6.
Yeah. So, but still, it's like, of course they're gonna say it's 10 because that sounds bigger. Obviously, it's a bigger number.
And yeah, these games also, let it be known, they were annual releases, so the changes between each game, if you start at 1 and go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, are pretty minimal. Like 1 is a skeleton and it's pretty bare bones, and it gets better and they add more features in each one you play. But if you go from 1 to 2, you know, there's going to be a few improvements, but it's still pretty much the same. And 2, if you go from 1 to 6, it will be quite different.
Right.
But each game individually, they're very samey, because again, they were annual releases for 6 years in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
They cranked these things out.
That was a common thing to do for particularly Mega Man games. Mega Man games were annual games actually. X, like for example, Mega Man X, like 1, 2, and 3, like they came out in subsequent years.
Yeah.
The only differences were just they did some minor changes for the actual like gameplay, but beyond that, your minor changes for the gameplay were the upgrades you got. But other than that, it was just like bosses, same kind of idea, which I don't mind personally. I never minded that, to be honest. But anyway, okay.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, I loved these games as a kid. They always came out over the summer, actually, so they were like a cool like summer vacation game to play. Basically, I always looked forward to the new one coming out every year. So yeah, love these games. Very different and unique battle system. I'm sure there are some things that are going to be a little clunky and janky about them, playing them these days. And as I said, the early games don't really tell you where to go a lot of the time, so it can be hard to figure out. But
but still fun. They're fun. They're fun.
Yeah, they're really fun. I love Mega Man Battle Network. They're really good.
Yeah.
So I do recommend the collection. I think 60 is actually a little steep. I would have liked both for maybe 40 or 50 to get all 6 games.
I agree.
But it's Capcom. Whatever. They'll do what they do.
They'll do what they'll do.
Yeah. It's 60 for all the games. Like, I'm not going to tell you it's terrible. As I said, I would have preferred all 6 be 40 or 50, but okay, fine. I guess 60 for all 6 games.
Yeah. Not horrible. Okay.